In the context of the increasing number of overseas students, there has been a growing need to understand the process of students' intercultural adaptation. From my experience of being an international student, one of the biggest intercultural challenges is miscommunication. Coming from different countries, students have sharp differences in mindset, beliefs, lifestyle preferences, etc. According to Mammon 2014, the individual's values and beliefs are the reflections of his culture. This issue happens not only in the academic environment but continues in the professional environment. Therefore, I strongly believe that the role of a leader in this situation is vital as she is able to confront the challenges and produce effective solutions. By putting the intercultural miscommunication challenge aspect in the hospitality industry, it emphasizes the role of the effectiveness of proper leadership style, which creates fairly complete harmony in terms of communication among employees and with their employers.
Good morning, my name is Prince. I'm from Vietnam. I'm glad to be here. I lived in Vietnam for 18 years, and after that, I went to Singapore to study. After 2 years study in Singapore, I moved to Switzerland for the last career. After that, I've been start my hospitality career in Vietnam. Now I'm working as a hotel manager in La Veranda, Phu Quoc Island, Vietnam.
All right, good morning. My name is Ray. I'm glad to be here. I'm from China and I had quite an interesting growth process. I lived in China for 40 years and after age 14, I moved to United States. After 5 years of studying in US, I moved to Switzerland for another 3 years. So after that, I went back to China for my career. And now I'm working as a hotel manager in Bulgaria Hotel Shanghai. All right. When I first went to United States, life was quite hard and tough for me. I would not say really tough, but I felt too overwhelmed. People treated me like I'm a panda bear, and everyone would like to talk to you. And this is not only limited to like students, but also teachers. Like I feel a really tight connection between each other. But when I was back in China, there's a big gap between me and the teachers. And I would not say it's bad, but it takes time for me to get used to it. And after I went back to China to work, I felt like people would keep a distance with me. I almost started to doubt myself, like, is there anything wrong I didn't do right? And people, I just don't really like me.
When I studied at the university, I had some great chance to be a team leader. Although on occasion, I tried my best to fulfill my leadership role and responsibility. A typical illustration for this is related to the leadership across culture, course which focus on how to work effectively in a team, right? At first, I seemed to know no one in the class and sought support from the course teacher by forming the RAIN group. And our group got 2 Vietnamese members and 1 American and 1 Chinese member. We were all new students with a leadership experience.
Preceding literature shows that the leader role is indispensable in inspiring, coordinating, motivating, and mentoring their employees toward the organization's missions. Delgado 2015. In general, there are 2 typical leadership styles which are autocratic and participatory, and they are opposite to each other. The former, autocratic leadership style includes the leaders who make their decisions based on their own perspective, in other words, no opinions of other people can influence their decisions. Whereas, the later, participatory leadership style consists of leaders who often seek various opinions to enrich their understanding of the topic. In a relative comparison between these 2 styles of leadership, one can reasonably contend that the participatory leadership style is more applicable because it can encourage the close relationship between the leader and team members, which makes them realize their values.
I made some trouble in appointing a leader for the team. While my group was discussing, I volunteered to take this leadership role because I believed I could take this opportunity to broaden my leadership experience. However, when we got into deep conversation regarding the tax division, the American members' idea was always conflict other members, which led to several serious arguments among teammates. Being a leader, I was responsible to resolving this conflict and advising them to focus on our common goals. Nonetheless, I was failing to do so since I was not courage enough to raise my opinion despite being the group leader. It was my biggest business and admit that the Eastern culture had partly influenced me. Most of the variety students do not dare to raise their voice in class because they are afraid to being laughed at when saying something wrong. And I was one of them. Thus, in any group meeting, I rarely raised my voice, despite the fact that my opinion might be helpful. The result of this group assignment was quite low, and it was one of the hardest lessons I learned during my academic life.
Alright. Now this question for me is actually quite simple. Like for me, I think everyone is an independent individual, and from different cultural backgrounds and their life experience, I would understand that people acting differently, but in the end, their intentions are good.
Nice.
Alright, for hospitality industry, by living and working under a diverse culture, where I'll be facing like customers from different countries, facing employees from different countries. This could help me to deal with my colleague better despite their cultural backgrounds. And this also applies to my relation with my customers. The key is mutual respect, and by understanding and respect other people's cultural background would help me to communicate with them better.
For me, I look back and thought about the value to address my leadership weakness. I realized that I had suffered from the cultural difference and low self-confidence, which created the low result of my group assignment. I understood that the cultural aspect is the serious issue that I may face in any situation, yet I did not prepare to fight. Moreover, I was incapable of controlling my emotion and handling the leader role without expressing my own personality. Those were mistakes that caused my first failure at university.
I think I was a human side. This basically is to stress compassion and generosity, and it is passion, supportive, and concerned with the well-being of others. This style includes the thesis of modesty and human orientation. This leadership style show love and care for my colleague, but having this leadership style gives me a feeling of being too soft. Sometimes the team is not really performing at the highest level, and all I was doing is encouraging them. But now I have to change my leadership style into the charismatic, or it so can be called a value-based style. This would stress high standards, decisiveness, and innovation. It seeks to inspire people around a vision and creates passion among my team to perform. And does so by firmly holding on to the core values. This includes the visit of visionary, inspirational, self-sacrificial, integrity, and deceit and performance-oriented. By switching into the charismatic leadership style, this actually helps not only myself but also my team to perform at a high level, but also enough care and happiness.
The comparison between these two styles of leadership, one can reasonably contend that the participatory leadership style is more applicable because it can encourage the close relationship between the leader and team member, thus make them realize their value. As an advocate for this style of leadership, I applied this style in my plan after the failure in my first group assignment and the better result of my later group assignment more than compensated for my effort. My strength was that I knew how to apply the appropriate leadership style. Once a leader receives team member trust and satisfaction, they are willing to go above and beyond in the duty required of them because they respect the leader and have been motivated. And at this level, communication skill is the most significant factor that bridge the gap between everyone and a good leader. Is one who are able to see through his employees' obstacles and guide them to overcome together.
In order to overcome the weaknesses and utilize leadership strengths, a strategic plan, which is also a self-assessment, is suggested to identify the individual strengths and weaknesses after learning lessons or suffering problems. This strategic plan would not only apply to student life in handling the intercultural miscommunication challenge but also benefit one's future career in the hospitality industry. Raemakers et al., 2019, indicated that self-assessment is a tool that enables people to strive for excellence. Thus, before creating the plan, taking the assessment of strengths and weaknesses to figure out which advantages that can help an individual minimize or overcome weaknesses.
To wrap it up, becoming a charismatic leader takes a strategic plan as well as motivation to overcome past failures, said Chang and Pan, 2019. The two interviewees who present are members of the group had experienced the failure of being a leader, and thanks to those lessons, they were able to recognize weaknesses so they could resolve and figure out strengths to develop plans. From our standpoint, we disagree with the thesis, leaders were born, not made, since we have learned from our shortage and been proud of our pursuing a participatory leadership style in life.
Chiu, chiu, chiu.